Okay, so you're gonna get 2 updates in one video. What a deal. So it's been just over a week since I fertilized this pot here, and I'm gonna go through the pots today and do some overseeding and check on all of them. It's a warm middle of December, and I just didn't feel like hunting today. So I'm just out here checking on my pots. But as you see, this 1.5 bags of fertilizer on this particular pot right here greened it up. So let's turn this camera around and take a closer look. So this is my mixture of rye, wheat, oats, chicory, and clover, and it's just coming in really nice. Where you see the lighter green, that's actually where the chicory is concentrated. The chicory was mixed in with the clover when I hand spread it, and it's not a 100% perfect mixture with the clover and the chicory. So you see in some places you have more chicory than others. And this plot is sandy in some areas. You see it slopes right to left, and the pine trees suck up some of the nutrients. So it's a diverse plot, but all in all, there is a lot of food here for the deer. I mean, let's take a closer look at some of this chicory that is really blown up with that nitrogen. And look at the size of those leaves. So the deer have everything they need in this plot. There's really no reason for them to feed anywhere else. The acorns are pretty much done in our area, and it's Florida, so we don't have a lot of oaks anyway. So there's not a lot of acorns to draw them away from this plot. So I expect this camera to be chock full of pictures. This is just excellent nutrition for the herd, so there's no reason why they shouldn't be in here thick. While I'm out here, I'm gonna fix this feeder. I put some tape over it, some electrical tape when I first hung it up, and it's not holding. So what I've got is some flex tape. And if you haven't seen this or used it, it's some really sticky stuff and helps to seal things that you want to keep water out of, or just in general seal things. The commercial for flex tape shows it going on top of like an aquarium or a big tank of water, and it's got a leak in it, and they just slap some flex tape on there and it stops the leak. And I don't know if that's true, but I've used it in a bunch of applications and it works pretty good. Like I said, it's very sticky, so you got to be careful when you put it on, because once you put it somewhere, that's where it's staying. I pulled the electrical tape off, and you can see the tape was just stuck to the paint. And even though I sanded down this plastic container, it was a food container that I converted into a feeder, the paint didn't stick very well. So the tape was stuck to the paint, but the paint wasn't stuck very well to the plastic. Okay, I cut a strip of flex tape and stuck it on there. I made sure to seal it real good on the top end there, and that should hold it. And I don't know what happened to this feeder. Looks like I poked it with a bolt or something, but I don't want the corn to get wet. If the corn gets wet, it'll stick, it won't spin correctly, and it'll just overall create a mess. But right now, I'm gonna put a bag of corn in these feeders. These feeders are made out of some sort of, like a big pickle jug or something like that. So they're food grade plastic, and they'll hold about 75 pounds of corn, which is one full bag plus half a bag of another one. If you watch our video called How to Set Up a Deer Feeder with a Solar Panel, you'll see me open up a bag of corn, and it has like a zip strip on it, and it's I say something silly like single string on the right, opens bag without fright. But anyway, you saw me open the first bag quickly. I got that string correct, the single string on the right. I pulled it, it zipped, no problem. The second one, I couldn't get that zip motion to start, so I actually had to hack at it a little bit. Those fiber type of bags that I'm using there are frustrating because they don't have the tab on them. So anyhow, that was fun. So that's how I fill these feeders that we have to use out here, or else the bears will pull down the feeder. So we've got the tree wrapped in tin. In some places we have a telephone pole. Then I designed and created that 2x4 gantry up there. And you'll notice I got a bungee cord that holds the feeder to the actual gantry, and that keeps the feeder from spinning and possibly breaking the cable. But that right there has worked for 10 years. I have to replace the wood about every 5 years or so, but that system right there has worked since I came up with it. Been on this lease 13 years. So 13 years ago, I came up with that idea, and it's working out pretty well. So the last time I was in this plot, I talked about how dry it was, but it was totally covered with deer tracks. Basically, it had been dry for the month of November, so that was like 1 month of compounded deer tracks. You know, deer use your plot every day, and it looks completely covered in tracks, but there's no rain to erase yesterday's tracks. Anyway, we've got some rain now, and the deer plot is still covered in tracks. What's amazing to me is how quickly what we planted in this plot responded to the fertilizer. Now, I've been doing this for many years, and I always put out fertilizer every year around Christmas. And we're a week from Christmas, but this year it really seems like maybe those grains were just waiting. It was a green across the plots, but after the fertilizer and a little bit of rain, they have just really taken off to the extent that it's remarkable. I wouldn't say it's unbelievable, but it's definitely remarkable. So the yellowing, or the yellow areas, are either going to be where it's really sandy or where there's a lot of chicory. And chicory is not a type of plant that's really going to be like a dark green in its leaf. But you can see this plot is just amazing. And the amount of food and nutrition in this plot, there's tonnage here. This is not quite an acre plot, but all of that greenery is all there with all that nutrition for the deer herd. It's not going to be harvested. Nothing else will eat it. It all will go into the deer's body as they eat it throughout the winter. Easy peasy. So I've done 4 bags so far, and 2 of them have come out like that, and 2 of them have not. I think you need a closer look at my sketchy ladder. So look at this ladder. What it is the ladder portion of a cheap Walmart metal deer stand. And the deer stand itself, I don't know what happened to it, rotted or whatever. We went away from metal deer stands years ago. But this ladder still lets me get up there to get to my winch. And that's the only purpose it serves. But it might not be too many uses away from failure. Every year I say I'm gonna get a no kidding ladder and put out here, or buy like a 2-section ladder and split it in half and keep one at one stand and one at the other, but I never do it. I guess I'm actually gonna have to fall off this thing before I'll actually buy a ladder. I just checked the truck thermometer, 77 degrees. That's too hot. The rain and the fertilizer really did this plot good. but I'm still going to overseed it. I think they nipped off a lot of the grains when they were really young. And then also in the center of the plot, there's a lot of winter weeds coming in. And I'd rather there be good stuff for them to eat than winter weeds. You can see the difference in the greenery. And all that was fertilized. All the same amount of fertilizer. And in some places where it's yellow, it was fertilized even more. But that's just the composition of the soil. Soil probably needs some lime. Just needs some amendments. It's real green over there against the pines, and then a little bit yellow here. And this tends to be more sandy right here. And because it's sandy, that means it leaches. The lime goes down below where the roots can capture it. So that's probably why that's yellow. So I'm going to reseed or overseed this area. So what I did there was overseed. I kept out 1 bag of rye from my planting back in November, and now it's December. And I take that bag of rye and I just spread it into the plot. The deer hooves, the rain, the turkeys, anything that walks on the plot or disturbs the soil will cover that rye. We'll get some rain here in a couple days, and that'll thicken up these areas. I lime this, I fertilize this, I till it. You see all those things I do in food plotting. So I'd rather have that soil grow things that I want it to grow. So why isn't there anything growing there now when I seeded it, 4 or 5 weeks ago? I don't know. It could have got nipped off. It could be poor soil. I'm going to give it another chance to grow something that I want it to grow and not only provide benefit to the herd, but also to the soil. So that's what I'm doing. Simple process. And trust me, this works. I do it every year, and it really thickens up the areas where I put the extra rye. Just giving you an update on the plot, showing you how that fertilizer worked, and then doing a little bit of overseeding. If you haven't, go back and check out my food plot series as I walk through everything I do from October until December. This is my last big maintenance push, let's call it, with the overseeding and the fertilizer. And now it's just hunting for the rest of the season. And I won't touch these plots again until late summer when we start doing this all over again next October. So as far as maintenance and work, the plots are done. I've already harvested 2 deer. I'm looking for that buck. There's a buck in the area that I'm after. But it's just a matter of watching the trail cams and seeing when he starts showing himself in the daytime, starts running these does for the rut. Rut will start here in pre-rut in January, here in a few weeks, and then our full-on rut is February. So usually January is a great time to harvest that buck that you're after. But hopefully you liked today's video. If you did, give us a big thumbs up at the bottom. It really helps our channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, y'all.